Hi, I'm Ellie with the Radiant Form. Thank you for joining me today. Today we've got a Hatha yoga sequence to help us detoxify. Um, this will be a fairly gentle sequence, although we'll pick it up a little bit. We'll throw in a little bit of challenging work closer to the end. Now, when we think of detoxifying the body, we think about doing a lot of twists, but also opening up. And I think I like to incorporate kind of mental detoxification along with physical. So we want to wring out our kidneys kind of as though we could wring them out like a sponge and get our blood moving, refresh all of that. Um, but we also want to help release any negative energy, negative thoughts that are keeping us stagnant, and make space. So we're going to let go of anything that we don't need to make space for the new to come in and fill us up with energy and vitality and joy. So with that in mind, I invite you to join me today with my intention, or always bringing one of your own. My intention today is to let go of the old and make space for the new. Letting go of what no longer serves us and making space for that which can serve us. So to start today, we're going to come onto our backs and gently lower down, keeping our knees bent, heels underneath the knees, and we're going to come into a supported bridge pose. So you will need a block today. Um, well, if you don't have one, then you can just take a legs up the wall pose with an actual wall, or just putting them straight in the air, or a regular bridge pose if you want to make this more active. But I'm going to take my block right underneath my sacrum on the lowest or the medium height, not on the highest height because it can be a little bit too unbalanced. So I'm going to press into my heels and lift up my hips. Just place the block underneath my sacrum on that wide, flat bone so that my hips are elevated just a little bit and the blood begins to flow. It's a little bit of a gentle heart opener, detoxifying, releasing what we don't need. Sometimes requires a little bit of just perspective changing. So whenever our head is below our heart, it helps us get a new perspective. It's actually a great mood shifter for children as well as adults. So get those kids upside down. Get everybody upside down when we're feeling cranky. So we'll just take some nice breaths here. We don't want to put too much pressure into the legs right now. We're really letting ourselves sink down into this. So take a moment and notice where you have been clenching through those hamstrings, through the glutes, typical supporters of this posture. And on the exhale, just release any tension that you don't need to hold. Let the shoulder blades sink down the back, widening through the collarbones, rolling the shoulders back and down maybe a little bit. Palms up to the sky. I let go of the old and make space for the new. If you like, you can spread your arms out wide to a T, or maybe even above your head, getting a bigger chest stretch. Nice deep stretch here. Inhaling length and exhaling, just let everything go. We'll take one more deep, slow breath here. Filling all the way up from the belly into the lungs. And sighing it all out on the exhale. Let everything go. Take a little bit of energy back down to the heels and press up. And move that block out of the way. We'll take a couple of rock and rolls just to massage our spine. So just rocking up and back and up back, take one more roll, and then releasing back, draw the knees into the chest, and give a nice squeeze here. You can rock a little side to side, make a few circles on your back if you like, maybe massaging out that sacrum. Begin to feel your way into your body, noticing whatever's going on, where you're a little bit tight, maybe where you're a lot tight, where you're feeling looser and more open. Evening out the energy. Go ahead, squeeze that right leg in and extend the left leg either straight or bent on the mat. We're going to draw that right knee firmly in toward the right armpit, getting some compression through the right hip flexor. And then extending that leg up nice and straight. Again, you can have the left leg bent. That'll help give a little bit more space here. Grabbing anywhere you can behind the leg, the thigh, or the calf. Draw that leg toward the chest, but move that right hip forward just a little bit to help keep the hips nice and even. Maybe grabbing the big toe with your peace fingers if that is available to you. Try not to let those shoulders come up to the ears. We're going to keep them soft and open. Open channel of energy. I'm not hanging on or clenching anywhere I don't need to. One more inhale, and as we exhale, we're going to take that leg out to the side, widening it out. Try and keep those shoulders and hips on the ground. Helps to take your left hand to your left hip to make sure it doesn't pop up off the ground. Open up through the inner thigh here. Beginning to find space. Molding it open. Keeping those left toes turned up toward the ceiling if the leg is extended. Inhale. Exhale, nice lengthening. And on the next inhale, draw that leg back towards center. And we'll switch hands and keep the leg straight or bent. We're just going to take it across the body. It won't come that far. You can make it come really far, but we're doing this for the first few breaths. We're going to do it less as a twist and more of really stretching out through the tensor fascia lata up by the hip and stretching out through these abductor muscles on the outside of the thigh. So to get this really deep into those muscles that I'm talking about, you want to keep that right hip almost on the ground and just stretching the leg across. One more inhale and exhale here, and then we will go ahead and let that right hip pop up and twist the belly button up toward the sky. You can bend that knee if you wish. Keeping that right shoulder on the ground, maybe looking over toward the right hand. Inhale, lengthen the spine, and exhale, wringing out through the belly, wringing out through all those internal organs, bringing fresh blood, using breath and movement to bring new oxygen to every cell in the body. And then taking hold of that knee, inhale back to center. One more nice deep squeeze here, rotating the ankle in one direction and the other. And then draw that left knee in also for a second. And switching legs here, we'll extend the right leg out, bent or straight on the mat, and squeeze that left knee in tight, compressing through that left hip. Deep breath. Gently drawing the left hip forward, bringing that knee in toward the left armpit, softening the shoulders away from the ears. One more full cycle of breath. And then on your next inhale, straighten out that leg. Grab anywhere behind the leg, behind the thigh or the calf. Go ahead, flex the foot, and we'll gently draw that left hip forward, pointing the right toes up toward the ceiling if that bottom leg is extended. Seeing if you can reach a little bit further down the leg, maybe grabbing that toe with the peace fingers, pressing into the big toenail with your thumb. Let go of the old and make space for the new. On your next inhale, go ahead and draw that left leg out to the side, opening up nice and slowly. Stretching through the inner thigh, stretching even through the hip flexor and the hamstrings a little bit. Maybe even stretching through the left bicep and forearm. Those are definitely not primary muscles in a stretch like this, but I always find I get a nice stretch all the way down my arm in any of these twists. Deep breaths in and out, making space with the exhale and inhaling in whatever is new and joyful and energizing. One more deep inhale and exhaling, drawing it back to center. And we'll switch hands. And again, for this first bit of the stretch, try to keep the left hip on the ground as much as possible as we cross the body. And really feel that sort of deep, intense stretch. The tensor fascia lata is this huge, sort of roundish muscle at the base of the femur here. Well, it's the head of the femur, but it's wide and flat. And then we always feel a lot of sensation down through the abductors and that big wide tendon here. So just feel into that for a minute. It's not always super comfortable, but it deserves our attention too. And then go ahead and either bending the knee or keeping it straight, we will let that hip pop up, dropping the left shoulder back onto the ground if it wasn't before, and twist over, getting a nice deep spinal twist here. Inhale, exhale, maybe looking out toward that left hand. Inhale, lengthening through the spine, and exhale, twist that belly button up toward the sky. One more inhale and exhale, and then on the inhale, draw that knee back into center. One more little squeeze here. And then we will rock and roll again 3 times. 1, 2, and on this next one, see if you can balance up when we get to the top, just behind the sits bones, into our boat pose here, Savasana. So holding behind the thighs, we're going to lengthen up through the spine, really stretching that heart up to the sky. And then if you feel steady, draw in through the belly, letting go with the hands. Squeeze the knees together. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. One more deep breath. And release. And then we'll come into just a little bit of a side stretch here. So you can stay facing the back of your mat or come to sit cross-legged. We will draw that fleshy part of our glutes back away so we're on our sits bones. And lifting the arms up on an inhale, dive off to the left on an exhale. Just stretching off to the side, really, really extending through that right armpit, feeling length through the whole side body here, keeping that right hip planted firmly on the ground. Inhale and exhale, and then we'll lift back up on the inhale, arms up, ribs in, belly firm, and diving off then to the right side. Right hand coming down. Maybe the elbow, keep that left hip on the ground. Side bend, feel a nice long arc of energy all the way through the left body. Breathe into that space. Deep exhale and inhaling, rising back up to center. We'll just take a very easy twist. So switching the cross of the legs, lean back just to try to keep it even. Lifting up on the inhale and exhale, right hand to left knee, left hand behind. Lengthening up on the inhale and exhale, twisting a little deeper. Deep inhale and exhale. One more breath here. Really pull that left shoulder back, widening through the collarbones. And inhaling back up through center. We'll take our left hand to our right knee, right hand behind, sitting up tall on the inhale, and exhaling, twisting off to the right. Gently pulling that left hip back, left shoulder back, right shoulder away, making space, finding space, filling up that space with fresh oxygen, fresh breath. Inhaling back to center. And hands through heart center. You can keep your legs as they are. If it feels really funny, go ahead and switch back to your more normal cross. We're just going to do some gentle neck stretches here. So first, rock the head side to side, right ear to right shoulder, chin to chest, left ear to left shoulder. One more in each direction. And then keeping that left ear over the left shoulder, and extend the left arm and gently just adding a little extra weight to the stretch. Resting the left hand on the head, really, really gently here, not tugging at all. Especially if your neck muscles are super tight, you want to be gentle with them. Wrenching will do no good. We are sending lots of calming signals to our nervous system today. Maybe tenting through those right fingers, extending through that arm. Deep, slow, comforting breaths. One more here. And on the inhale, releasing through that hand, coming back to center. Go ahead, take a rotation and just look over each shoulder. And then we'll take our right ear to right shoulder. Exhaling deeply, just let it release. Maybe taking that right hand and adding a little extra weight. Ease into this. Extend through the left arm, maybe tenting the fingers and placing on the ground, or just flexing through that wrist. Still maintaining a gentle straightness through the spine, keeping those lower ribs pulled in. Strength without rigidity in the belly and core. One more inhale, exhaling, drawing the belly to the spine, and inhaling the head back to center. Just take a few more of those head rolls. So left ear to left shoulder and roll it through. Awesome. Then we'll take a little bit more chest opening here. So we'll come into our thread the needle pose. So from our hands and knees, we'll just take a second, get yourself situated and nice and steady. Hands directly under the shoulders, knees directly under the hips, drawing up through the lower belly. Gentle tuck of the chin, keeping my spine really strong. Really focusing here on nurturing the neck today as we twist and detoxify and make space. So letting go of what doesn't serve us sometimes means paying attention to some of our old habits in our body or muscle memory that maybe isn't um, serving us in terms of our pain and posture. So we will press firmly into that left hand, and especially the thumb and first finger, and lift up through the right hand, twisting open, keeping my hips as level as I can. And then exhale, draw that right arm underneath you, coming onto the right shoulder. Stretching through the back of the right shoulder. You can place the forehead down on the mat or the right ear. Keep drawing the left hip back gently, trying to keep them even. Spinning back through the inner thighs helps activate the necessary muscles to keep you aligned and straight in the legs. If you're feeling really balanced and open, you might take that left hand back and around to the right thigh. No forcing though. One more breath here. And then we'll come back up to tabletop, taking a little stretch through the arm and place it back down. And then we'll firm down through the right hand, the right arm, and we'll lift up through the left arm, twisting open and drawing it underneath you into thread the needle. Coming onto the back of the left arm, pulling back through the right hip, spinning back through the inner thighs, stretching through the back of the arm. Nice deep stretch here, breathing in and out. Be where you are today. We can't fill up with all the good things that we hope for if we don't empty out that which we do not need. And maybe what we don't need is any sense of tension or frustration about where we are. Bringing it back on the inhale and stretch up to the sky. And exhale back into our tabletop position. We'll just do a few rounds of cat and cow here to keep that movement going through our spine. So inhaling, drawing the chest forward, chin and tailbone up. And exhale, draw in through the belly, pressing through the hands, pressing through the knees, lifting the upper back up to the sky. Inhaling, wide collarbones, heart forward. Exhaling, pulling firmly up through the belly button, rounding through the upper back. Inhaling forward, chin and tailbone up, and exhaling, drawing everything under, pulling up. Twice more here. Inhaling, chin and tailbone up. Exhale, round through the spine. One more time. Inhale, bring the heart forward through the gates of the arms. And exhale, pulling in through the pelvis, drawing the heart up toward the sky. Inhale back to a neutral spine. And then we will just come into a child's pose, this time with our knees tight together, feeling that compression on our belly. Forehead down, hands behind you. We're going to do 3 deep belly breaths, filling up the belly and really feel it press against the thighs. So inhale, feel that compression, and exhale, deflate like a balloon, let everything go. Inhaling, fill up through the belly, fill up through the lungs, feel everything compress, and exhale, sigh it out through the mouth. One more time. Deep inhale, filling up the low belly, mid belly, the upper belly, the lungs, all the way up. Holding for a second, and exhale it all, sighing it out through the mouth. Let go anything you don't need. On your next inhale, rise back up into our tabletop position, and then we'll stretch back. Knees wide this time. Clawing through the fingertips as you bring them forward onto the mat. Feel that stretch through the armpits, maybe through the front of the chest or the back of the arms. And on your next exhale, we'll walk our hands over to the left, kicking the hips over to the right. So we're getting a really nice side body stretch here. Feel everything stretch out from the fingertips all the way down the arm, through the right armpit, and the chest, all those wonderful little muscles in our rib cage that we tend to not pay very much attention to. The low back, maybe the hip, maybe even through the side of the leg, depending. One more breath here. And inhale, draw the hands back to center. One breath in the child's pose here, sinking down. Inhale and exhale, walk the hands off to the right, kicking the hips out to the left. Let yourself sink in here by degrees. Don't be afraid to make adjustments even after you've gotten into the pose. Yoga is not stagnant. We're not going to a place. We're moving with our breath and through postures. This whole sequence is designed to move us out of stagnancy. So let your body respond however it wants to. One more deep breath here, in and out, traveling all the way up and down that whole side body. Fingertip arms, armpit, ribs, lower back, hip, side of the thigh. And inhaling back to center. We'll rise up on to the knees, and keeping those arms extended way out in front, just drop the heart down, really pulling in through the belly and the lower ribs. Keep the hips directly over the knees into our heart to earth puppy pose. Feel extra wide through the collarbones, through the chest here. Rest your forehead or your chin on the earth, or just dangle. And then pressing into the elbows, we'll come forward into our little cobra pose here. So toes pointing straight back, our thumbs by the low ribs, roll the shoulder back, elbows pointing back, and just rolling up, pressing up, opening up our heart, and coming back into a child's pose, just for a breath. Now sitting up on our knees, we can tuck the toes under. We're going to get the blood moving here just a little bit. So we're going to sit back. You're welcome to sit back in any kind of kneeling pose that is comfortable for you, but to wake up the feet a little bit before we start moving a little bit more, I'm going to tuck all my toes under and stretch out through the soles of my feet. So I'm spinning my inner thighs down, really trying to squeeze my legs together, and sitting back, opening up through those toes and through the soles of my feet, all those calf muscles that connect down into the bones of the feet. My heart is over my pelvis, my head is over my heart. I'm trying not to let my lower back arch too much or my ribs pop out. Just a couple breaths here. We'll raise our arms all the way up on the inhale, and exhale, cactus the arms, gently opening up through the chest. Inhale up, and exhale, cactus the arms. One more breath here. Inhale up, letting those shoulders slide away from the ears, and exhale, cactus the arms, scraping the elbows on the back wall, open through the chest, and let them come all the way down. Coming forward, you can shake out the knees a little bit. Sometimes tap those toes on the mat. And then we will come into our first downward dog of the practice. So hands shoulder width, feet are about hip width, hands are just a little bit in front of the shoulders, tucking our toes under and pressing our hips all the way up to the sky into a downward dog. Take a minute here to get situated. Maybe walk the hands in or out, walk the feet wider, find what your shoulders need today, bending your knees, aiming more for a straight spine here than for straight legs. Our heels never have to touch the floor. Everybody's anatomy is different. So some people, no matter how flexible or loose your hamstrings are, your heels would never touch the floor. It's just learning to live inside of our own bodies. Rising up, pressing firmly out of that thumb and first finger through all of our fingers, not collapsing into our wrists, spinning the elbows forward, spinning the armpits back, pressing all the way up through the hips, and our thighs gently spiraling back. And then we'll walk our feet in about a foot, making a nice short downward dog here. We're going to take a little twisting dog. You can place your left hand closer to the center of the mat if it helps with balance, and take our right hand to our left ankle, twisting up under the armpit. Feel free to use a block if you need to get some more space. Placing the left hand up on a block. Raising up can give us a little bit more space for reaching backwards. Notice if you get a different stretch through one of your hamstring muscles here by twisting and widening. And then coming back to center, we'll take the other side. So pressing firmly through that right hand, maybe moving it a little closer towards center if that feels more stable for you. Maybe putting it up on a block. Reach that left hand for the right ankle. And twist open. Pulling back on the hips to keep my hips fairly level and even. Especially pulling back on the right hip here. Really feeling a lot of oppositional energy going from my right hand to my right leg as I look up under my right armpit. One more deep breath here. And inhaling back to center. Walk those legs back. Nice long downward dog here. Pressing firmly through the legs, spinning the inner thighs down. And then coming forward, releasing the knees onto the earth. We'll come into our vinyasa. You can take a really active one here if you want. Plank to chaturanga to upward dog. I'm just going to go knees, chin, chest, rolling up into my cobra pose. And then everybody meet back down on the ground, chest all the way down to the earth, toes flat to the earth, all 10 toenails pressing in, inner thighs slightly rotating up, spiraling up to the sky, glutes soft. Take your hands a little wider than your mat, tenting your fingers right under your elbows. Lift up into cobra. So we're rolling our shoulders back, squeezing the shoulder blades together, activating through the rhomboids. And then we're going to look to the right and dip the left shoulder down. One breath here, inhale, exhaling, and then inhale, lift back up. Roll the shoulder blades back, squeeze through the rhomboids, and look to the left and dip the right shoulder down. Deep inhale and exhale here. And then coming back to center. Exhale, release down. Coming into a regular cobra now. Maybe into an up dog. Hands under the shoulders. Lifting firmly out there, rolling the shoulder blades down the back. Letting them slide down. Gently spinning the inner thighs up toward the ceiling. If you want to go into up dog, lifting the thighs and knees up off the ground. Really pulling in through the belly and opening up through the heart. And then coming all the way back down to the earth. We're going to open up a little bit more here. So hands back to that T, wide arm T, and then pressing down through the right palm. I'm going to tent my left fingers again and roll onto my right hip. So I'm stretching out through this back arm, bending the left knee, and placing the sole of the foot anywhere where it lands. This might be enough for you. If it is, then just stay here for a minute. Your back leg is helping kickstand you so that you've got plenty of balance. If you feel like you could roll further, stretching out through that right arm, right shoulder, you might roll your hips both, put the right foot flat on the floor, lift that left arm up in the air. You can do any combination of these variations. If your left arm is up in the air, you're welcome to try to take it behind you. Maybe meet your hands, clasp them. And if this is where you're at today, or this is where you're at, then be where you are. We let go of the old and make space for what's new. Then we'll roll back to our belly, back to center. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale here, just softly letting everything release into the mat. And then we'll take the other side. So pressing that left palm firmly into the mat or floor, we'll tent our right fingers and begin to roll onto our left hip. Maybe bending the right knee and placing the foot behind us. Feeling this huge opening through the front shoulder, through the chest, through the back. Maybe lifting that right arm up. Just letting gravity do some work here. This is a pretty intense but fairly passive stretch. Once you get to a place you want to just balance and release muscular tension. If you feel like you can roll open more, bending the other knee, go for it. If that feels different on the side or less good or more good, pay attention. Always pay attention to what your body is telling you. One more deep breath. Inhale and exhale here. And we'll release back on to our belly. Drawing the thumbs back by the low ribs and coming back into a cobra. Elbows pointing straight back, not flaying out. Wide through our collarbones. Opening up through the chest. Lifting up through the crown of the head. And coming back into a downward dog. Deep inhale, send energy all the way up from the fingertips, all the way into the hips. And exhale, send that energy down into the heels. On your inhale, lift that right leg up. Keep the hips level. And firmly drawing in, we'll roll forward, shoulders over wrists. Draw that thigh into the belly and place it between your hands. Lowering the back knee. Place that left hand right by the right foot. Right knee right over the right ankle. If you need a block, go ahead and put your hand on the block. And we'll just use the strength of our hand. Press your right hand on the right knee and twist open toward that knee. Opening up, drawing the belly away from the thigh. Opening up into our twisting lunge. Drawing the shoulders away from the ears, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Inhale and exhale. And then if you like, reaching for that back foot, getting a nice quad stretch on the left leg as well. Opening up through the heart. Huge detoxifying stretch here. releasing everything on every exhale that you don't need. One more inhale, lengthening out here. Exhaling, deepening, and releasing. Let go of the foot and spiral the arm down. We will walk that right foot out a little wider, both hands on the inside of the right leg, into our lizard pose. You can have your back knee up or down if you want a little bit more active pose here. You can draw that left knee up or let it be more of a releasing, relaxing pose here. Softening through the shoulders, softening through the neck. Feel free to bring the elbows down onto a block or onto the floor, or keeping both hands up on a block, whatever you need to do here. If you find that your knee is moving out to the side, just move your toes along with it. We always want our knee and our toe facing the same direction, taking really good care of our joints. One more deep inhale, exhaling it all out, and coming back into our table pose. Hands directly under the shoulders, pressing firmly away from the earth. Really pressing up through our rhomboids and upper back here. And pulling firmly in through the belly. Nice straight line of energy from the sacrum all the way up through the spine and crown of the head. And then we'll just do some side squeezes here to release and keep our spine moving fluidly. So squeezing the left shoulder and the left hip together, draw in through the belly. Exhale to squeeze. Inhaling back to center. And exhale, squeeze the right shoulder and the right hip together, really lengthening out here. Inhaling back to center. And then we'll come into our downward dog again. Moving the hands a little bit forward where they were, tucking the toes under, and pressing back into downward dog. Inhaling the left leg up, keeping the hips nice and level. And squeezing that knee into the chest, rolling forward. Shoulders over the wrists. We'll put that leg in between our hands. Walking it however much we need to so that the knee is right over the ankle. Taking a second to breathe into this low lunge here, using a block if you need to. Prop your right hand up. Place the right hand right on the inside of the right foot. Gently draw the left leg back, left hand to left knee, and twist the torso open toward that knee. Lifting up that hand on the inhale. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Nice long straight lines of energy. Inhaling, lengthening, exhaling, releasing further into the pose. Moving into the space that we're creating. Opening up space. If you like, reaching for the back leg, stretching through the right quadricep and hip flexor. Inhaling, exhaling, releasing. One more deep breath here. And exhaling, spiral the arm in, walking the left foot out a little wider to the edge of the mat, coming into our lizard pose here. Hands up on the block or on the floor. Nice straight spine, gently pulling back through the right heel and the right hip. Again, coming up, bring that knee up if you want a little bit more active stretch, or softly letting it release down to the ground for a more restorative lizard. And if it feels good, coming down to the elbows. Nice deep breathing here, paying attention to that knee. If it's moving out to the side, just let the toes follow it, or use a little more muscular energy to squeeze that knee in. Deep breath, inhale here. And exhaling, draw that knee back into our tabletop. Taking one round of cat and cow here. Inhaling, heart forward. Exhale, rounding through the upper back. And back to neutral. And we'll just take one side squeeze on each side. Inhale, shoulder and hip together. And exhale back to center. Inhaling, squeeze. And exhale back to center. Walking the hands forward. About a handprint. Tuck those toes under. And we'll come back into our nice downward dog. Pressing through the thumb and first finger. Pressing through all 10 fingers. Lifting up through the palm. Exhaling, sending energy down through the heels, pressing the inner thighs back. And then coming way up onto the toes, we'll bend the knees and step or hop forward in between the hands. Big toes together, little space between the heels. Halfway lift, fingers to the earth or to shins or to thighs. Gentle tuck of the chin. Exhaling, forward fold. We'll roll our spine up here, spin those inner thighs back, and really pull in firmly through the lower belly to protect the lower back, and begin to roll up, letting the whole torso dangle. Nice, strong rolling up here. One vertebrae at a time. Letting the head be the very last thing that comes up. Inhaling the arms all the way up. And exhale, keep those fingers as they are, but gentle back bend. Inhaling, exhaling, hands back to heart center. So as we stand here in Samastitihi, steady balance. You can rock forward a little bit, forward and back, side to side. Feel all four corners of your feet firmly planting down into the mat. Feel that, gather up that strength and energy from the earth. Pull up through the thighs, gentle spiral of the inner thighs back, slight tug of the pelvis, rising up through your long, strong spine. Shoulders release away from the ears. Steady balance here. I let go of the old and I make space for the new. Releasing the hands down. Lift them all the way up to the sky on an inhale. And exhale through heart center. Inhaling them up. And go ahead and really root down through the right leg. And we'll circle the right hand with the left wrist, or the right wrist with the left hand. And pull the body over into a side bend here. We're really opening up through the side body in this detox flow. We're twisting and opening the side, alternating, so that we're no longer collapsing into this unused space. So really try not to collapse forward, but make this a deep side body stretch. Inhaling back to center. And pressing firmly down through that left heel, rooting through the earth. Circle the left wrist with the right hand and dive over to the right side. Nice and slow, really pulling your body out, stretching it out, almost like I always think of my body as one of those bendy straws that the whole thing had those bendy folds in it, and just draw yourself all the way out, extend and side bend. Inhaling back up to center, and I'm going to turn to face you. I'm going to come into a tree pose here. So rooting down again through that right leg, imagine that you actually are connected to the earth. There's a deep root going down from the heel and coming up onto the left toes, pinning this right hip in, I guess this is your left, but that's okay. You can figure it out. We'll draw that left foot anywhere onto the right leg, above or below the knee. So as long as it's not on the knee, anything is fine, whatever feels good. As we do this, we're really squeezing the left foot into the right inner thigh, squeezing, pulling that right hip into center, nice and straight and strong. Hands to heart center or down by the sides or up by the ears. As you stay in your tree pose for just a minute, I invite you to imagine that you are a deciduous tree in the autumn, I guess in the northern hemisphere. So imagine that your leaves have finished their life cycle and they are ready to fall down to the earth. You are ready to release them. So wherever you are, take a deep breath in and just imagine releasing everything that has finished its role in your life. Let it go. Deep exhale. And on your next inhale, we'll stay balancing on that right leg. If you need to give it a shake out, go ahead. We'll draw that left knee up to the chest. So really still pulling firmly in through those side glutes and really stabilizing here. Draw in. If you can, reach for the foot. If not, go ahead, hang on to that knee. We're going to twist open toward that bent leg. So if you can extend it, go ahead and extend it. Drawing up through that bottom leg and open up wide to the side. Pulling in through the belly and opening, extending through the chest. I let go of the old and I make space for the new. One more deep breath here and then inhaling back to center. Squeeze that knee in one more time and release it slowly. Shaking out that right leg or left leg, whatever first leg is you did. And then same thing we'll do on the second side. So root down through the left foot, through your second foot, really drawing energy up from the earth and sending it down. So there is this continuity of energy. I give and I receive. Pinning in through that hip, drawing up to the lower belly. We're going to take our right foot onto our calf, our upper thigh. Wherever it is, I'm squeezing that foot into my left leg and squeezing back against it with my left leg. Drawing this bent knee open, pulling in through, everything zipping up tight, head over heart, heart over pelvis, hands to heart center, or by the sides, maybe all the way up. Maybe you've got a lotus flower at your heart, open to whatever you are receiving. As we open up here, inhaling the energy, the strength that we need, and exhaling, letting go of anything we don't need. Those leaves in the autumn are not bad, they're just done. So we let go of whatever is done in our life. For whatever reason, it's time to release, let it go. One more deep inhale. Big exhale, sighing out through the mouth. And then keeping that knee bent if you can. If you need to shake out the standing leg, go ahead for a second. But we'll draw that right knee into our chest. Wide open heart, open, wide collarbones. Pinning through that left hip, trying not to sway off to one side. Strong and stable. Receiving energy from the earth, sending energy down. And then either grabbing onto the knee or the foot, you're going to twist open, opening up that leg, opening up through the heart. Letting go of what you don't need, gathering up what you do. We make space for what we do need, for what will come to us. Nice, deep, open heart. And exhaling back to center. One more little nice knee squeeze and letting it go. Shaking out the legs. Awesome work. We'll come through one little sun salutation here to get all that blood moving back through the body. So deep inhale, arms up to the sky. Exhaling, diving forward, open heart, bending the knees as much as necessary. Bowing to the earth. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to shins or thighs. Exhaling, hands back to the earth, step back into plank pose, knees up or down, coming down, chin and chest, roll the shoulders back into cobra or upward dog, and coming back into our downward dog. Beautiful. Nice deep inhale and exhale here. Exhale, send the energy down, and inhale, lifting up through the right leg, and drawing it forward, really pulling up through the belly, and putting that foot between our hands. We'll spiral the back foot open, heel to arch, coming up into our warrior two. Sinking down here. Nice straight line of energy. Head over heart, heart over pelvis. Again, knee right over the ankle, not forward of it. Sinking down. Gaze is over the middle finger. Let the shoulders soften away from the ears. Drawing energy up through that back leg. One more breath here. And then left hand to left hip. Walk that back foot in a little bit. We're going to come into our half moon pose. So you can have a block 6 to 12 inches in front of the left foot or just hand on the floor. Slowly and gradually open up. Foot firmly flexed. Open up into half moon pose. Chest toward the side of the mat. Toes pointed straight forward. Back leg is parallel with the earth. Maybe opening up that arm. Maybe keeping it on the hip. And then ever so gently, however much we can today, coming back into our warrior two. Deep breath in and out. Reverse warrior. And exhaling, we'll spiral the arms down, coming into a little vinyasa here. So chin and chest into cobra pose, or plank into chaturanga and upward dog. And coming back into our three-legged dog, we'll lift it, or into downward dog, we'll lift up that same right leg and bring it forward, drawing it firmly in to the belly. And this time, bring that knee over to the opposite elbow, so right knee to left elbow, and extend the foot straight. And then we're just going to rotate our back foot open, our whole body open, into this fallen triangle pose. So I'm really drawing up through that back leg, that back glute, and flexing firmly through my right leg and pulling up through my belly, opening up. I am open. I let go of what's old and what I don't need. And then coming back here, spiraling the left arm down. I'm just going to firm up through my belly and pull that knee back into a three-legged dog. And bring it down, pedal out the feet. Pressing through the fingertips. Pressing up out of my wrists, up out of my shoulders. Lifting the left leg up into our three-legged dog. Drawing it firmly into the belly and placing it between the hands. Spiraling the back foot down, heel to arch alignment, knee over my ankle, coming up into warrior two. Again, gentle tuck of the pelvis, knee over ankle, spinning that left hip underneath me. Arms up. Soft, steady gaze over my front middle fingers. I let go of what's old and I make space for the new. Strong and steady here. Exhaling that right hand to right hip. Hop that back foot in just a little bit. If you're using a block, Go ahead, get it 6 to 12 inches in front of the left pinky toe, and then dive forward into our half moon pose, slowly opening up to the side. Oh, my balance. I'm going to pull really firmly into my belly today. Well, every day, but especially when balance is a little bit off. Find a steady gazing point, something to focus on, and place your inner attention really strongly in the core. Lifting that back leg up, letting it be parallel with the earth. Strong core, lots of space for whatever energy is coming to you. Great, and then gently bending through that front knee, we'll come back into our warrior two. Nice strong legs, spiraling down through a quick vinyasa, stepping back into plank, down through chaturanga, chin, chest back up through cobra pose, and coming back into downward dog. Lifting out through that same left leg, inhaling it up, exhaling it forward, chin or knee to chest, drawing it firmly in, shoulders right over the wrist, and we'll draw that right knee over to our left knee over to our right shoulder and extend the leg straight. Spiral that back leg open, coming into our fallen triangle. Kind of a playful pose, a fun pose, squeezing inner thighs together, lifting up, and spiral that right arm back down, bringing the left leg back up into three-legged dog, and dropping it down. We'll drop the knees down here, come into a nice wide leg child pose, arms forward, make lots of space for the belly here. 3 big deep belly breaths. Feel all the space you've created. Exhaling it out. Inhale, widen through the belly and imagine the breath filling up your whole torso. Feel the openness of your side body, of your rib cage. Exhaling it out. One more deep breath here. Inhale, filling up through the belly, through the chest, through the ribs. And exhale, sigh it out. We'll come back up on to our hands and knees, tucking the toes under, coming back into a downward dog. And stepping or hopping forward, hands between the knees, or between the, oh my goodness, feet between the hands. We'll come to the long edge of our mat, legs nice and wide into a wide-legged forward fold. So our feet are parallel with the short edges of the mat. Folding forward here, hinging from the hips, really pulling up through the legs so we're not collapsing onto our arches, but nice and strong through the feet, pressing through the toes, especially the big toes. Come forward onto blocks if you need. We want our spine to be really straight here as we fold forward. So one more deep breath here, inhaling, lengthening, exhaling, folding deeper. And then we'll lift up to a half back or halfway lift with a nice flat back, gentle tuck of the chin. Drawing that right arm, right hand right underneath your face. We're going to open up into a twist. So we're going to try not to let our right hip follow us too much here, but to twist from the torso. So strong through the legs, not locking out through the knees, opening up through the left arm. This might look straight up for you, and it might not. Nice twist. Remembering, inhale, lengthen out through the spine, and exhale, twisting deeper. Inhale and exhale, both hands back down. Inhaling up and exhaling, fold down to the middle. If your head can touch, you might bring your hands back toward your heels, bending the elbows. Inhaling back up to flat back and left hand underneath the face, and we will spin open to the right. So again, try not to let that left hip follow, but keep the hips as they are, spinning the inner thighs back and open up through the torso. Inhaling, lengthening, exhaling, twisting deeper. Feel those shoulder blades squeezing together. Deep exhale. And coming back to center. We will come bending through the front knee, coming into our ninja squat. You can have your hands at your heart or down on the mat. We're going to try to stay buoyant here and not sink, but inhaling up through center and exhaling, bending the back knee. Your heels can be down on the ground or they can be lifted. Remember, only you live in your body and only you are your body's best expert. Inhaling up, exhaling, bending the front knee. One more time, inhaling, exhaling to the back. And then coming down, we'll just bring our feet in and come to seated, stretching the legs straight out in front of us just for a minute. Coming into our seated staff pose. Go ahead and make this active for a minute. Point the toes right up to the ceiling. Spin the inner thighs down. Pulling into the belly, tucking the lower ribs. Head over heart, heart over pelvis. Gentle chin tuck. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. If the palms can make contact with the mat, go ahead, press firmly down there. As you breathe in and out, I invite you to imagine traveling up and down these open channels of energy that you have worked to create today. Letting go of whatever doesn't serve, whatever is finished with its growth cycle in your life. Letting it go so it can nourish the soil beneath you. All those dead leaves actually make richer soil for the tree to grow. So all of our experiences, even if we're utterly done with them, we can allow them to nourish the soil of our life. Go ahead, draw the soles of your feet together, pulling your heels in as much as is comfortable. And feel free to move the fleshy part of your glutes away so you're sitting right on your sits bones. Inhaling up and exhaling, folding into our butterfly pose. However close or far your heels are away from your hips is perfect. If your elbows rest on your knees, you can press them away a little bit. Deep inhale, exhale, folding forward. Nice flat back as much as is possible. Inhaling back up. We'll come into a supported fish pose as we start preparing for Shavasana. So I'm gonna use 2 blocks here for myself. One block on the medium height, I'm gonna put it right across my shoulder blades, and then rest my head behind the other one. So drawing into the belly as I slowly lower myself down. I want it to be right in the middle of my upper back. And then allowing the other block to be on the lowest setting, or a higher setting too is fine. Whatever feels good. This is a really nice pose for opening up the chest because it presses our spine against the normal curvature. And since most of us do a fair amount of hunching forward on one device or another, or even just in a chair, maybe you're hunching over your sewing or your knitting. That's fine too. Either way, it's good to counteract that. So through this whole practice, we've been opening up, making space, and letting go of whatever we don't need. So take some nice deep breaths here. Feel free to extend your legs long along the mat if that feels good to you. Arms can be wide, arms can come above the head. You can have them cactus. Just let them rest wherever feels good to you today. Maybe just placing one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly in a gesture of gratitude. One more nice deep breath here. I let go of the old and I make space for the new. Breathing in new energy. Place the hands firmly down and use the strength of your arms to roll back up. And then we'll just move the blocks out of the way. And we'll make our way back onto our backs for one more just restorative posture before we move into our Shavasana. So again, with that supported bridge or legs of the wall, or maybe even a supported shoulder stand kind of thing. So block again on the medium or the lowest height, placed right under the sacrum. If you like, you can stay here in the supported bridge pose, or maybe even lift the legs all the way up. Allowing gravity to move the blood through our body. Here we are upside down, shifting our perspective, getting a good handle on what things in our life are ready to be released. It is not autumn here while I'm filming this. It is the height of summer, so lots of things are growing. And even still, I like to imagine that all of the foliage, all the trees are planning and preparing, fully giving energy to all of these beautiful leaves and flowers that they know will drop soon or in a few months. One more inhale here and exhale. Bend the knees carefully and slowly, pressing through the heels to lift up as we release that block. And then we will make our way into our final resting pose, our Shavasana. So as we do this, go ahead, extend the legs out nice and long. And I invite you as we prepare for this to place a hand on the heart, hand on the belly. Become aware of all the points of contact your body is making with the mat, with the ground. Feel your body in space. Feel your long, strong body. And think of 3 things that you're grateful for right now. They could be big gratitudes or small gratitudes. So as we move through any kind of practice to detoxify, to let go of what we don't need, we want to be intentional about what we do fill up with. So we make this beautiful open space for newness, and we're intentional about what we welcome into that space. So with that in mind, I invite you to allow your body to relax and release here, softening, coming into the Shavasana pose to incorporate all that work into all your cells. Giving ourselves a moment here to be soft and to let ourselves assimilate that good work, that openness, that sense of freedom and release. Go ahead and take a few deeper breaths, drawing that nice long breath all the way up through the body into all this openness we've created today. And exhaling all the way out, wiggling the fingers and toes, rotating hands and ankles and stretching out, feeling the long lines of open energy we've created as we let go of whatever we don't need. Gently and slowly rolling off to one side, take a moment to pause and let yourself physically feel that sense of gratitude, honoring yourself for the hard work you've done here on the mat today and that you do every day, creating a beautiful life. Pressing up to seated, sinking in. Today, as you go forward, may you feel truly loved and loving, and may you be radiant. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.